Welcome students. Now coming to the fourth part of our course of module 1, we are going to discuss the process life cycle DFD data flow diagrams in this topic. So let's begin. First of all, we will define information gathering. So what is information gathering? Information gathering is when we will collect the information from various sources and then compile that information in a particular format that is called information gathering. So the information gathering can be done in two ways. One is from the existing sources, which is very simple, very easy. It is the information which is found on internet. It is the information which exists on the social media and can be easily retrieved. So the sources are existing and we have to just gather that information. The second method is by natural sources. So this is a tough process. This refers to the sources of information which exist in the market. They are existing in the market, but one has to do a lot of research to compile this information. So like we have to talk to people to know their feedback. If some product has been launched in the market, you will have to go to a lot of people and you have to ask them, how did you like the product? Why are you not liking the product? Why it is better than other products? And all these factors. For that you have to do a great lot of research. So such type of information gathering is called the information gathered with using the natural sources. So why do we gather the information? The question that might arise in your mind is that why we are gathering the information? Why we are gathering this information? We are gathering this information to enhance the knowledge related to particular subject. Like if I am going to open a juice shop, so I will research in that particular area that how many juice shops are there, what are their positive points, what are their negative points, and should I go for another juice shop in that particular area. And it develops us the skills for problem solving. So when we will go and discuss with people what type of problems they are facing, then only we will come with a product in which there will be lesser problems or where the problems might be eliminated. So next comes after information gathering is the requirement analysis. Requirement analysis is the process of analyzing various requirements of a particular user and then design the product or software. Supposing I need a software for monitoring the data of my company. So where how many employees are there, how many people visit my company, who all are my vendors, all these are my requirements which I need to update in my software. So requirement analysis, here the software engineer or the software engineering team will analyze it what are the requirement of a particular client. So requirement analysis deals with the success or failure of a particular project. First of all, for that we have to draw the context diagram. These are the technical steps, but requirement analysis basically means that what all is required by the customer. Now this part comes under the software engineer, or this part comes under the technical team. So technical team will draw the context diagram. So as you are pharmacy students, so you don't need to know much about these diagrams. We will do DFD in this case. DFD is the data flow diagram. So how our data is going to flow from the top till the bottom till the accomplishment of the project. So we will draw the technical people are going to draw the context diagram. Then they will develop the prototype. Prototype means it is not the direct model. It is like if you will go to some housing society, they will develop a big map where they will show how many buildings will be there, where will be the market area. They will show you that this will be your particular flat which you are going to purchase. So that type of model is called the prototype model. So they show you that we are going to build this project. Now when the client comes to a software professionals or the software team, they are not directly going to build the software for them. First of all, they will develop the prototype. When the client agrees that yes, it is okay, it is as per my choice, then they will go to the model to modeling the requirements. So to accomplish this project, what all materials are needed, what all personals will need to be involved, and how much will be the cost. And then they will finalize the requirement, and this is called the requirement analysis. It is the most important phase of developing a software project. So before the finalization or the success or failure of a project, it all depends upon the requirement analysis. After the requirement analysis come the feasibility analysis. So feasibility analysis, what all steps it will, what is feasibility study? The feasibility study decides whether or not the proposed system is worthwhile. The system which has been like somebody says I will build Taj Mahal for you and you are the client, you say yes, I want this Taj Mahal for me. So is it feasible? Feasible means is it practically possible? That thing is not practically possible. If somebody wants to build a house and the other people say, let's tell them that it is like Hotel Taj and our budget is only 10 lakhs. So is it possible to build Taj like building in 10 lakh rupees? No. So this feasibility means that whether this upcoming project is possible to be made, is it technically feasible or not? Is the cost, like he says that the professional says that you can build such type of building but you will need 1 CR. So I am only having 10 lakh rupees, I cannot build 1 CR flat for myself. So is it within my budget or not, or is it a profitable project or not? Sometimes we are going for a project and the cost of writing down in the registers and the personnel involved in writing down the register is taking some amount of salary from me. And if I purchase a project, if I purchase some particular software project for 1 CR, will it be feasible for me or not? No. So this analysis is called the feasibility analysis. After the feasibility analysis comes the data flow diagram. So what is basically the data flow diagram? The data flow diagram will show how the project is going to start and how the project is going to stop and what all process is done in between. This is shown in the form of a diagram. So after the DFD and 1 to more analysis phases, we go for the coding. Coding is almost the second last step in the design of a software. So data flow diagram, for showing the flow of the data, it will use this symbol. For showing the process, we will use a oval shape. For showing the source of sync or external entity, we are going to use a rectangle, and for storing of data, we can use this. Data flow is also shown by arrow diagram. Somewhere we can use this type of arrows only. Also, the direction of the arrows can be in any side. So this is our data flow diagram. This is an example of a data flow diagram. Here there is a customer who is making some order to a company or to a shop, and this is showing the final delivery. But in between some process happens. When we order some thing from the internet, there will be order processing. First of all, the customer details will be verified whether its phone number is correct or the account on that particular site is correct or not. Then whatever financial transaction you have done, whether you have done the payment using credit card, debit card or a wallet like Amazon, Paytm, Phone Pay, this will be verified by the account section. And then the store, after the financial, first of all the customer is inspected whether the customer exists or not. Then the account section verifies the payment, and then the store issues the items. And finally the order is delivered to the customer. So this has been done with the help of a data flow diagram. If we will write it down, it will be very complex process to understand. In case of diagram, the process is very easy to understand. And for the coding team also, it becomes easier to understand that what this particular step wants us to do. So this is all about DFD. This is a process specification. So what is process specification? Process specification refers to specifying a particular process which describes how to use input data strategically in order to transform it into required output. So it shows what should be done to utilize the available information as input and generate an output. So what is to be done in the process? To accomplish that particular process, this is called process specification. Like if we are going to cook something on the gas, so what all we need to add here? We need to add water, we need to add vegetables, we need to add salt. This process is called process specification. So in case of software also, First of all, we will represent that particular process by a difficult DFD, and then name will be used, same names will be used as in the process symbol of DFD, and then description that what this particular process is going to do, whether chapatis are going to be made or whether a particular chili paneer item is going to be made. So what is the output of this particular system? That is called the process specification. Next come the input output design. It is very simple. Input device, you already know, it can be a keyboard, it can be a mouse, all these devices from which we are our finger, that is called touch screen, that is also a form of an input device. So mouse, keyboard and the touch screen, they are all input devices. Processor is our CPU, which is called the central processing unit. It is going to process all the information. And memory device is our memory. Output device, we can have a monitor as an output device, or we can have a computer as an output device. Computer monitor as an output device, or a printer as an output device. So this system by which a computer is designed is called input-output design. What are input devices we can use, what are output devices we can use, what is the process which is done by the central processing unit, and where the data is stored. This is referred to as the input-output device. The videos which we watch, they are also comes under the output devices. So next is our process life cycle. Process life cycle is the method of understanding initial, intermediate and final stages of the growth and development in any process. How the process starts, what happens in the process, how it is executed, how it is optimized to obtain the best result. It helps us to understand how a particular process fits into our system within an organization. A process can be defined as a basic unit of work in any system and its complete cycle, including model, implementation, execution, monitoring and optimization. All these terms collectively are called the process life cycle. So planning and managing the project. How we plan the project, how we manage the project. We divide the project into smaller parts. Then every person is entitled the responsibility to complete each and every part. If I say that we have to manage something, we have to arrange a marriage party. A single person cannot arrange a marriage party. There will be band, there will be decoration team, there will be the food team, there will be the distribution team, and moreover there will be involvement of the people who are involved in organizing that particular marriage party. So similarly, if we are planning and managing the project, we have to divide it into manageable components, then identify the dependent entities, estimate the time. Like if the marriage is going to happen on 20th of June, it is not that till 30th of June our process is not complete. We have to estimate the time limit within which we have to do this project. Then we have to analyze the resource requirement, and finally risk factor. Rain is not there. In case of a marriage, rain is not there, some storm is not there, or some other problem like nowadays COVID situation is there, how many max people we can invite for our party. So all these factors are considered. This is called planning and managing of the project in case of software. In any system, the steps will remain the same, whether it is software, whether it is the normal life. You can use all these examples of your normal life to understand the complex system which lies in the development of the software. So with this our module 1 is completed, and in the next video we are going to discuss our HTML basics, right? So it will be related to how we can use HTML for developing a page related to pharmacy, because we are doing B Pharmacy course, so we will develop a page related to pharmacy. For that we will know the tidbits about the HTML language, and in case of any queries you can drop me an email at diptibharadwajcsc@gmail.com. Thank you. See you in next video.